The views expressed here are those of the authors and do not in any way represent the views of Saphir TV.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another edition of Ladies First. I'm joined here by my wonderful panellists Fahmida, Sumaya, Nishat and myself. Just to get straight into it, ladies, the rise of organ donation, the trade of it, should we be concerned, and is there anything particularly wrong with it, especially in some countries where people are given a payment? Do we feel that this is a good thing or a bad thing, considering that there is a rise and a need for organ transplants?
Just to clarify, you're taking this topic from two perspectives, the humanitarian and the fact that a lot of people are being exploited.
There is a waiting list, almost a year longer, for Muslims to get a donor for their transplant.
Match, yes.
Right.
Or a year or longer, because when they do these transplant, they have to see the match, and ethnicity is one of the match they do. And because there's so many fewer Muslims donating, there's a longer wait for.
And it's not just Muslims, it's Afro-Caribbean and Asian communities, and we can go as far as Peru. Basically, ethnicity does play a huge impact, and being in a society that's so multicultural, there are certain sections of our community, and we can speak about Muslims, being Muslims, that are not culturally aware or have had the discussion of what it means to donate an organ.
Well, I came from a background in the household I grew up in that organ donation was haram, categorically haram under all circumstances, and
I think
this is after death.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of perception I had, but I think we need more awareness that it is not haram. I mean,
we'll
there are
definitely
rulings
give that to a scholar, inshallah.
there are rulings to this, and we can refer to the scholar later on, but I feel that if we take this act as a sort of life-saving role or serving the community or the humanity, and take it as a very heroic act, I think people will come forward and donate to probably their own in their own communities.
What do you think?
Actually, more than communities, in their own families as well. I think I wouldn't have. I don't know. I'm not intending to donate an organ or something. I would do like blood, or I think I would go as far as blood only. But I think if I had a sibling or my husband or my parent needed a kidney, and I had both healthy kidneys, and I know of a friend's husband who has actually done this recently, donated a very healthy kidney to his father, and I think if it came to me, then I would do the same. However, outside of this circle, would I? I think I would be more resistant.
Because?
I just selfish reasons.
I
Well,
really appreciate your honesty
very honest
there.
of you. I mean, I know, for example, blood donations is a very big one because of bone marrow transplant, because leukemia, it's a childhood disease, and then I have children of my own, and I think, gosh, if something ever happened to them and they needed a donor, there are, vast sections of the Muslim community that could donate.
Well, let's think about health tourism. Do we have a problem with it?
What do you mean health tourism?
Exactly what it means, where people go to other countries and pay people that have registered, or I don't know how they do it, to get some financial feedback.
I think at that, if transplant tourism is flourishing very well, and it's doing really well, excuse me, it's doing really well, so because poor and the needy are being exploited, and we're looking at communities where these poor people don't have anything to eat, they're hungry, they don't want to beg, so they're going to come out and they're going to sell their kidneys for whatever money they have to feed their families, and that's when they're being exploited, and people come. And I feel that taking this and making it a profitable business is really wrong. I don't know
I just think it's awful that
Yeah.
there are these families out there in the Middle East, across South Asia, that are having to even resort to this in the first place. Some of these countries are Muslim countries, right?
Absolutely.
Where is the government in supporting these families? I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. You know, how desperate are they that some even, you know, they might even consider selling their children's organs to.
I agree. I absolutely think that it is really sad that people are having to do this, but I also understand the reasons behind doing such an act. So, for example, like Sumaya said, they don't want to beg. They don't want to go out there, and because it's out of their dignity. Yeah. And if by doing this you're supporting your family, I can totally understand why they're doing it. And some of these Muslim countries that do it might be countries that are, you know, poor countries and cannot
weak
support
authorities.
Yeah.
Or
I just wanted to bring a different dimension to the discussion, and having personally experienced a family member who died because they didn't receive an organ transplant and the desperation that they went through. I think it's very easy, and you know, from a medical background as well, where we sit there and we judge what is ethical and what it isn't until we meet life and death situations, and when it's a family member. And there was an opportunity for them to go back to their country of origin, where they would be provided with a list of people that had registered that would financially do that. And I thought it was, you know, they discussed it with the NHS and private sectors, and the, you know, doctors now were giving their moral situations where they felt that was bad. But the situation was that I'm going to die, you can't help me. My community doesn't even talk about giving, you know, blood transfusions, let alone a kidney thing, and I'm really young. So if I have a chance of living and I can pay someone, I'm going to take that. And, you know, it wasn't even a case where other families could donate their organs, because the person was thinking about, well, you have young children, and, you know, what if you ever became sick? So I don't want to take on that responsibility. I'd rather be able to financially compensate someone who is healthy and who is willing to do this, and put them in a proper hospital and take care of their medical needs for the rest of their life. That person died. And I feel that, you know, we shouldn't blame people, but I feel that if we had had that discussion in the community, people wouldn't even talk about it. And I'm not even talking about the member, because it was seen as like a test that you need to go through. And that person lost their life, and was it necessary? So I feel that there is a flip side to that. We've got to remember that the people who need organs, there is a face, there is a story, that is somebody's mother, child, father, whoever.
It is also in the Quran. I think it is Surah Maida, which says that if you save a man, you've actually saved mankind. So saving a life is highly encouraged and recommended.
And don't forget that family that's being compensated, they could be set up for life. All their children could be put through school from the money that you've given them. So that the payoff could be so beneficial that giving that one organ.
I don't know what the ruling or the Islamic ground on this is. Whether, so for example, if there were in those poor countries people that are willing to sell their organs just because they can't afford to live or to get food in their mouth, are we, if we're buying organs from such people, are we encouraging that, and are we allowed to do that?
Well, it's a consequence.
So I feel, why don't we encourage people in our community and encourage our own family members, and you know, so that they feel that, oh, I've saved a life. Like, for example, if they feel attached to the person who is donating, someone in the community they know, and they're like, okay, if you register, you know, actually encourage them to actually at least register. So if anyone needs this, they can get to it.
I think it's a very grey area. People are not very sure of what the ruling is, because they follow different marjas, and different marjas have different rulings, and they feel, oh, you know, will I be still healthy? So there's this health aspect attached to it as well.
Exactly.
So it's a very grey area for people to go ahead and
start creating awareness. That could be the first step.
I think a lot of people are scared of death, and it's who wants to think about the chance of, you know, there may be a risk with any type of surgery. There might be a risk. I'm not saying that someone's going to die, but it's very morbid. It's very extreme. So we naturally, as human beings, before we take the jump, we think somebody else is going to do it, or, you know, at the last minute something's going to happen that is going to change this. But what we've got to understand is that in the Shia community, we are still very much divided by our ethnic links. If you're, you know, black, if you're Asian or whatever. And because we're such a small community, when something happens, we don't really go out and branch out. So I think we need to talk about organ donation. I think we need to talk about issues such as sickle cell and getting tested for all these things. And I think we need to look, we're in an aging population.
Yes.
We have senior citizens that are, mashallah, living till their 90s, whatever. There is going to come a time in everyone's life where we're going to be faced with health issues. So what do we do? I mean, who wants their grandfather to...
I was just about to say that, how we're more open to receiving the organ than we are to donating it.
So I think we definitely need to have discussion about that, and maybe also look at, I mean, is it really wrong? If there was a documentary, and it was in Iran, where the guy was trying to make ends meet, and he needed to have a car to do mini cabbing, whatever, and he was willing to donate his organ, but the doctors did say that, look, you're going to be left with one kidney, please take care of it. And he was living a lifestyle that, you know, was problematic. And they were asking, he was saying, it's worth it to me because I want to get married, I want to have a house, I need money. There is no other way I can do this. I don't want to be, my parents are getting old, we're not in a society where the state gives you a pension. I'm going to use what Allah has given me to support myself.
Then the same Allah has then provided you with the people that guide you to the lifestyle that Allah would prefer you to do. And the people that do that are telling you that if it affects your health, you shouldn't be allowed to.
No, he was saying, the doctor was saying, you can donate, but remember, you've got one kidney left, so you cannot continue a lifestyle, say smoking or whatever, that would affect your chances. But the end of the day, if we're driven by money and needing to live, there's people who make...
Yeah, big motivation.
Yeah,
but I think,
survive, that
to
motivation.
survive.
I'm thinking, as horrible as it sounds, if it was monitored a bit more, for example, I don't want a situation where this is a service only available to people in the West or who have money. So if you're a Saudi, you can just pick and choose where you're going to go. It should be, I think, if it was regulated, as morbid as that sounds, that, you know, checks are done, you make sure the person is adequately compensated, their hospital bills are taken care of, their aftercare, and, you know, maybe the state gets a little cut, and I don't know, I haven't really thought about how they would do this, but it would make it even more, it would be fairer, so the poor people, if they have a child who has leukemia, have just as much as a chance. It's not...
It's just to make it more palatable to different communities, especially, you know, trying to make it a bit more, well, like you said, that it's monitored, that it's done properly. Are they going to be compensated afterwards? Are they going to get all of that money? What if they don't know about the exchange rate?
And like
for example, something small like that.
And maybe we do want to know who the organs are going to, because I'm not sure here if in England we necessarily have the right to specify, well, I would like it to go to a child in Peru, for example. I don't think we have that. Once you say you can donate your organs, it goes to whoever.
But that is all discussing organ donation when we're living. What about donating organs after we pass away?
I do not have any Islamic knowledge on that, so I would definitely pass on that query to a scholar.
Please do.
But what is also interesting is when they were on the radio and on the news, they did say that all major religious groups have agreed that organ donation is halal.
Even in the Sunni school?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
But they didn't go into who, what, are you alive to a person, whatever. And I think that's showing how desperate we are. We have made so many advances medically.
I think we need to refer to confirm what correct.
What are the?
And I think we only do that once we're faced with that situation.
I know.
If we're
We
not faced with it, why do we need to know? Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but that's a really bad attitude.
But
that's
the attitude of our attitude towards a lot of things, not just this thing.
Yeah.
If it doesn't affect us, why am I going to find out?
Yeah, we've just passed the buck,
Yeah.
don't we? And we just keep doing that. But now's the time to face these issues. And
well, we do have sections of our community who, even though it was on the radio and it was stated that all major religions, Jewish, Christians and Muslim, have agreed that organ donations are allowed. This was stated. There are sections of our community and other faith-based groups who have issues with that for various reasons, with how, you know, the body should be revered and respected. But this was what was stated on national TV, that it's been agreed. And I think it's, as I said, it's just
Desperate.
it could be incorrect, and it could be just a rally cry for people to have the discussion. But it's one that we need to have.
And it might be something, you know, you don't just always believe what the media says. Sometimes they say things just because they want you to, you know, actively go and donate something.
Well, I think that's it. It's a sign of desperation. If, you know, we're not stepping up to the plate, they're going to say whatever to make the cause known. But it's been a really moving discussion for me anyway.
It's touched a nerve with me.
I've really enjoyed the discussion, and inshallah we will go for the one-to-one discussion with our scholar Masuma Jafar. Once again, I'm joined by Masuma Jafar on our one-to-one discussion. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
With the rise of an aging population, I wanted to ask you, what is the Islamic perspective on organ donation? It's obviously there is an illegal trade going on, which is very disturbing, because it tends to put the vulnerable and the poor in compromising positions. But what is the Islamic take on organ donation and when it should be, if we can have it done?
The ruling, according to some of the merger, is that while you're alive, you can donate any of your organs which will not be detrimental to your own life. So, for example, donating a kidney would be okay, donating part of your liver would be okay. So that is your right, and that can be given to anyone.
Okay, that's really interesting, because I've previously heard that there's a lot of resentment towards that. Not resentment, but it's always been a no, you can't do that, until obviously something happens in your own family. Is there a ruling on, for example, did you say when we're alive? What about when we pass away? People say we don't need our body parts, our spirit is fine. Can we donate?
Again, you've got to look at the complexity of how the rulings come about. Okay, so organ donation was not something that was there at the time of the Prophet or the Aimah. So when the merger tries to come up with a ruling, they will go back and take it back to basics.
Right.
Now there are two sort of situations here that they're looking at. One is saving a life, which is obviously something that is encouraged within Islam.
Right.
When it comes to a Muslim life, it actually becomes wajib for a Muslim to try to save a Muslim's life. And the other situation that they're looking at is where the cutting of a dead body is not allowed. So mutilation of a body, which in the Arab custom used to be quite prevalent.
Right.
We have stories from history where certain people cut up other people's bodies in the battlefield and so forth. Okay, so again, that is not allowed. It's haram. Okay, so you have one which is obviously wanting to save a person's life, and the other one where it says no, cutting up a body is mutilation and it's not allowed. So they have to sort of weigh it up and look at what, the hadiths are there and everything. And the ruling that some of the Marja have come up with is that if it is saving a Muslim's life, because it is wajib on a Muslim to save a Muslim's life, then if you want to donate an organ which is going to a Muslim, you can do that.
Right.
But you're not allowed to if it's not going to a Muslim. And that is only because of these two laws there. And this shows how
so any Muslim, it doesn't matter what sect you're in, or do we get even more specific?
It's a Muslim,
okay.
yeah, because as long as the Ummah is made up of a Muslim.
Right.
So if you said La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, you're a Muslim. And this actually shows that the fatwas are not taken out from the air or from the mind of the marja. He is actually looking at what Quran and Hadith says and trying to build on that and sort of see what was there and take the issues that we have back to basics and pull out what was there from Quran and Hadith.
My other question is, what does Islam say about selling your organs? Is it okay to give? Is it okay to sell your organs?
It is not haram. It is as long as it's not detrimental to your life, then that is your choice. But that is the fiqh, that is the ruling. Now, there is always an akhlaq, which is the moral aspect of the ruling. And morally, I would have a problem with that. I just feel it's so sad.
Even though some people, sorry to cut you off,
No problem.
Some people, and I'm not saying this is right, are given money or are given some kind of...
I just feel that you must be so desperate to have to sell a part of your body in order for money. I just think that screams desperation. And as a Muslim, if I see someone who is that desperate, my akhlaq would dictate that I help them. I mean, we were having this discussion at home a while back, and me and my husband were talking about it, and my husband says, well, it's just, paying their medical costs, making sure that their recovery is okay, and then just actually giving them some money as a thank you.
Yeah.
My view is, and again, this is my personal view, from an akhlaqi perspective, if I needed an organ and I came across someone who was willing to sell that organ to me that would be them screaming desperation. And I would actually pay them for the organ but not take it, because I feel that they need that money more than I do. And I was just like,
I need to interject, only because I've personally been through this situation where, I lost someone very close to me because they needed a transplant and didn't get one. And they did have the option of going abroad to have one, and a match was found, etc. And, I think it's so difficult when you're faced with life and death situations, because this person was happy to take care of the person for the rest of their lives. They financially couldn't, because it was abroad, of course, things are a lot cheaper there.
Of course.
But and they wrestled with that because but it's a business at the end of the day in some countries, and I think it's really easy to be very moral about
if you're not in the situation, of
but
course.
the situation with this person was they were willing to take care of the person for the rest of their life, because kidneys can fail after 5 years, etc. But I was just asking that question because there is such a rise, especially in Muslim communities and Muslim countries, because we're not offering to donate organs.
Yeah, so it's just encouraged, I suppose. But I personally, I don't think akhlaq-wise, I don't think I could be okay with it. That's my own personal choice. And like you're saying, I'm not in the situation. I'm looking at it from outside. Maybe I might have a different opinion if I'm actually in that situation. I don't know. I would hope not, but I don't know. But fiqh-wise, there's nothing wrong with it at all. The ruling says it's allowed.
Now, when we were talking about organ donation, why are we as communities not doing big drives? There's such a big drive in the media at the moment, going to all different type of faith groups requesting
I think we're trying to. Again, I think, one of the things that's become really huge at the moment is, around Ashura, there's huge drives for blood transfusion, and people are actually giving in the name of Imam Hussein. Communities are organising for their community members, for maybe the transplant team to go to the community, so that the community members don't have to actually go to the hospital, or actually take bus loads of community members to the hospital again. And that's a way of us sort of actually getting Imam Hussein's message out there as well. To actually saying, look, he died because of oppression. He died for a cause, and we're trying to help others through his name, just trying to live his values. And I think that's beautiful.
I've just come up with another question. Just putting myself in that situation, the person who passed away, who needed an organ, of course, when it's somebody, you're like, oh, of course, I would help you. Is there an Islamic ruling on, supposing if you're married, do you need to get your partner's permission, or even if you're not married and you're living at home with your parents, or is it your body and your rights? Who makes that decision?
I think if you're a child, obviously your parents would have to.
I mean, like you
go.
live at home,
If
you're in your
balik,
20s, yeah, partner.
I honestly don't know, but I think I think as an adult living at home, it would be all right. In the marriage situation, I don't know. I'd have to check.
That would be
really
so good to find out as well. Because that just came into my head as well, because you said you have to make sure you're that you're physically okay, and I'm thinking if you have children and you have one kidney.
I think it would, even if you are allowed to make that decision, would it not be a decision that you make collectively, because everyone will be affected anyway?
Depends who I was giving the kidney to. But I do understand your point. Well, there are certain countries that are for harvesting kidneys a lot, Islamic countries, for example. You said Islamically there isn't anything wrong with it, but it is a business, and those countries are being identified because they are using this as a business. Is there something morally wrong with that, do you think?
I find...
Especially if the surgeons know most of the time that these people are desperate.
I think how they're looking at it is they're saying, look, you know, when people have money and there are other people who are in need of money, it's going to happen. So why do we not make it something that is legal, and then we can actually monitor it? And we can ensure that, you know, the right amount of money is being given, the right amount, you know, the right type of care is being given. It's being done from an official perspective. So I can see where they're coming from, and I think it actually works better if it is legal and monitored and everything's done fairly. Again, like I said, maybe I'm living in my little bubble in the West, and you know, alhamdulillah, I haven't been in a situation like that or had anyone close to me in a situation like that, and maybe that's why I can take the moral stand. I don't know.
But do you think it would be more fair if money wasn't a transaction in all of this, in terms of...
But then what's to encourage? I mean, if you... Unless you're a really nice person.
No, I mean like your health care, and then, I don't know, maybe a scholarship fund if you had children, or something to help you get on the, I don't know, property ladder by a car, but not...
It's still the
cash.
same, isn't it? I
don't know.
What they use the money for is their choice. I mean, why are we dictating that it has to go into scholarship or into property or something? Maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they want to go on holiday. Surely it should be their choice.
SubhanAllah, you've given me, as always, a lot to think about there, especially with the organ donation. I didn't know we were allowed to do that. I hope our viewers have learnt a lot from this episode. In our lifetime. I hope our viewers have got a lot from this episode. I look forward to seeing you on our next episode.